Hello, everybody. Welcome to another instalment of one of our chat pods. And today we're continuing to discuss the role of governors. I'm delighted to introduce Paul Devlin, our chair, and Jim Aleander, who's our lead governor and also a public governor. And we're going to be learning in a bit more detail about exactly what that is, what the role is, and how it adds value to the organisation and more broadly into our communities. So welcome, really looking forward to this conversation. I don't know if Paul, if there's anything you want to add before we we go to Jim.
Thanks, John. And it's really good that you're able to join us, Jim. I think you know that John and myself, and indeed the whole of the board, are very keen to get our governor engagement and involvement right. And I know it's something that you're very passionate about. I wondered if we could begin actually, Jim, by you just telling us a little bit about why you became a governor of this trust in the first place, and kind of what you get out of it.
Right. Well, I think the important thing to say about being a governor is that you don't need to know a great deal about the NHS. I think that is important. But forgive me, colleagues, because you two know a lot about the NHS. My background in any form of governance has been education governance. I've been a governor of colleges. But from the NHS point of view, when I started, I was really just an occasional patient. That's all I had ever been. And an interested man in the street, you might say, living in the county some 25 years, making a contribution to Nottinghamshire in other ways. But I just felt the time was right to consider or to find out more in the first place about this trust, this trust. And I have to say, at first I thought it was easy to learn about. And I've spent 18 months as a county governor finding how long it can take, to go from one end of this great beast to another. It's been a fascinating experience, as I say, 18 months of involvement. Initially, as a county governor, I live near Mansfield, and it's been great to feel that my part of the community has a voice here, and that I can provide it. But I'm very conscious too that I'm one of over 30 governors, and I very quickly found that it was important that some of us knew a lot about the NHS from the inside, and they contribute as staff governors to our unitary council of governors, and of course a wide range of other backgrounds. But even within the staff governor cohort, we have governors from healthcare assistant to doctors. So it's a very wide-ranging and diverse body. I was daunted at first joining it because I thought it mattered that I didn't have an NHS background. I quickly found through mixing with colleagues it didn't matter, and that one of the benefits of coming from the outside is asking the innocent questions. Why do we do it this way?
I think that's
How do you know that patients have a good experience? These are simple questions, but you will know how difficult it can be to provide the range of facts and evidence that shows the answers.
And that's really, really important, Jim, that you're describing there those diverse backgrounds across our Council of Governors, which makes for a very rich body, and it also makes for some very rich challenge to us, which I know John's a part of what you welcome coming from our governing body.
Yeah, so it's really interesting to hear Jim's sort of account of it, and I think it strikes a chord with me, and I think it's partly about a wood for the trees argument, isn't it? I think when you're in the middle of it and you've got deadlines and you've got reporting, you've got this, you've got to do that sometimes you can miss, that cliche about you can hit the target and miss the point. And councils of governors that working well can really sort of throw a sharp light and a different perspective that just makes you pause a bit and go, oh, hang on a minute. And it's that broad church of expertise and experience of life that I think really enriches the debate. So I will concur, and I think that one of the ambitions of our organisation is to really keep driving the council forward, and to not just keep us on track, but open our eyes and look to where we can continue to be better for patients and carers.
And Jim, I know one of the things that you have over this last year, when working with me, you've been quite rightly challenging about, is us putting some attention into how we support governors to be able to connect to their constituency. And I wonder if you want to say a little bit about that. I think it's been particularly difficult, obviously, this year, but some of your ambition around that.
Well, yeah, and just to start with what the usual offer would be if we didn't have such an extraordinary year as we have had. I mean, in the first year, I grew in my knowledge through the monthly meetings that were made available. They're non-obligatory, but there were ways in which some of the specialist services could introduce themselves to governors, and I found those very useful. I learned about the breadth of the trust that way, but also the programme of visits. Every governor in the normal world has the opportunity to visit the services and to be shown by a manager, and indeed by the staff in the services, what the experience is like that's being provided. Now, this year, as you rightly say, Paul, has been extraordinarily difficult in that regard. But one of the things I'm pleased about is that governors persisted in asking questions. A lot of that had to be by phone or video. It couldn't necessarily be direct. And I know both of you want the direct experience to return as soon as the opportunity arises. But the priorities had to be patient care and staff safety as well. And what I've done recently is introduce a series of what you could informally call coffee mornings or coffee afternoons, drop-in sessions for governors. No agenda, but up to an hour of chat. And I think we've all found that useful. I found myself taking notes of what fellow governors were saying, which is usually a sign I'm learning as I go. And we are determined that when John says, "Okay, I think we're ready to open up the services again to governor visits," that we will do it. And only yesterday, for example, I had a virtual coffee morning with some colleagues from Rampton, who were very keen, I should say, to you both, very keen to get the opportunity back, where I thought in particular what impressed me was the willingness of them to have public governors like myself come along with that innocent community eye, and those questions about why do we do things this way. And I would say, for people who might be applying in this round to be a governor, what an exciting time to come on board. As we begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel of the COVID experience, what a great time where you two, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but we are on record, so maybe I am doing that. You two will say, let's rebase this whole experience. Let's take it from, year zero, 2021, and open it up again, so that governors and non-executive directors and the staff of the trust can get together to really drive forward the improvement agenda that I know we all care about.
And I have to say, I'm smiling, Jim. Part of what I really enjoy about working alongside you is you holding that vision and ambition, and it absolutely does chime for certainly myself and John, I'm sure. And just knowing that you're encouraging, sometimes pushing, just enabling a wee bit and helping us think about how we continually improve not only the services that we provide, but improve as an employer and indeed as an organisation that is a big part of our local communities, and that's something that I think is important for us to hold on to. So yeah, and I also hope that there are people out there who are thinking, oh, actually, I know somebody who could be potentially become a governor, or thinking, actually, I want to have a little look at that. So, John, any last thoughts from yourself?
Yeah, just a couple. I think what Jim says about opening things up for 2021 when we're into the new world, post-COVID world. I fully agree with, and I think the timing is perfect. Because the other thing I put into the conversation, thinking about this, is that it's where we are from an organisational perspective in terms of our confidence. So I think probably a couple of years ago, if we were sort of going to launch something like this, quite rightly, we'd have been a bit, well, hang on a minute, more regulation, more oversight, more scrutiny, more criticism. It wouldn't have landed well. But I think because of the work that everybody's done around the culture and the values and making progress together, they would see this much more now as doing it with rather than to. And I've got a bit of a phrase about all feedback is welcome. And we've had to take a lot of quite critical feedback, but it's how you respond to that that's the important thing. And if you get the culture of support around it right, it's a real force for progress. And then the other thing finally for me is that one of our other sort of strategic ambitions is to become, we talk about being an anchor organisation in our communities, and the governor role is a really crucial link that gets us out of just our organisational NHS way of thinking, because there's so much that goes on in communities that could enrich what we do. So yeah, thanks, Paul.
Great, thanks, Jim. Last word from yourself.
Well, picking up what John just said, governors are rooted in the communities, but the public governors as much as the staff governors who live in the community. And just to say that through this remarkable year, governors have been really impressed by the way all the staff of the trust under John's leadership have pulled together. And it's been trying, it's been difficult, we know that, but there's been that integrity about the way people have operated and kept the standards high. And I'd like to say to you both the way in which they've engaged as well, because governors have had the opportunity to engage, and in 2021 that will become easier. So thank you.
Great. I think that's a great message to end on, Jim. So thanks very much for the conversation today.
Yeah, enjoyed it thoroughly.
Thank you.
I like John's art as well. Impresses me.